Hi, this is Mizzou, and today we're working on slope. Our homework today involves finding slope in two different ways. One from a picture. So if I give you a picture of a line like this with several points on it, here, a point here, 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 and here, we know that the slope is known as rising over run, also known as the vertical change over horizontal change, because as we rise, we're calculating what it changes vertically, and when we run, we're calculating what it changes horizontally. Here, we're going to just pick any 2 points, so we could pick the one right here in the middle and go up. So if we're counting up, we're counting positive 3 up. If we count then to the right, we're going to count positively to the right at 2. So that would simply give us our slope, 3 over 2. I could actually choose a point maybe at the very top and, and go down to the point down here. And if I do that, then I'm going to go down 6, and down would give us negative. So that's our rise, negative 6. Then we're going to go to the left, and if I count correctly, I will go to the left 4. So left is actually negative 4. And what I'm going to get is this fraction negative 6 over negative 4, which actually, if I simplify it, first of all, I could simplify the negative divided by a negative number. And so in a fraction, a negative and divided by a negative is a positive. And as I simplify the 6 and the 4, I get 3 over 2. So I still get the same slope, no matter if I decide to go up the slope or down the slope, it will be the same. So that steepness of the line will not change. Here are some quick examples. If I'm finding the slope of this line, I could simply take the one in the middle and go up 1, and then move to the right, to the next dot on the very right, and count 4 to the right. And my final slope answer would be a 4th. Now, as we had talked about the slope man, which was in our notes from last week that we took on the yellow tab, if you want to go back to that, there's 4 types of slope. There's positive slopes, negative slopes, zero slope, and undefined slope. We always read lines and slopes from left to right. So that's why my snowboarding man starts on the left. He goes up the mountain positively, then goes down negative. Then there's flat. A flat slope is not positive or negative, which the only number in math that's not positive or negative would be 0. So that makes a lot of sense. And then once he reaches the cliff and is unable to hang on because of gravity, but he's got his parachute, then that kind of a slope that's vertically up and down is called undefined. So in this slope, you can see here too that if I look at it and I put my little man right here, and I drew my little snowboarding man here, then he is going upward, and that will give me a positive answer. So again, you can see in this example that if I chose 2 different points and I chose to go down 2 and left 8, then I would still end up with my simplified answer of 1/4, a positive slope. Here's another slope. Just looking at it, I know that my answer, when I draw my little snowboarding man here, and he is going up, then I know that my answer will be a positive fraction when I finish. Make sure that this fraction is always it's improper. If it's improper, then you don't want to change it to mixed, because then you won't be able to see a rise and a run in the fraction, and you won't have a ratio that compares 2 quantities. So we're going to choose the point right here, going up to the middle point. So up 3 and over 1, giving us a slope of 3 when I simplify 3 divided by 1. This slope here, if I just look at it simply, I can put my snowboarding man here. He's going to be traveling in a downward direction, so I know already my final answer will be a negative. Now I'll talk about where to put this negative when you're done. So we're going to go rise, run. So rising is the up and down, so I'm going to go down 2, and then travel to the right, very good, 3 spaces. So that's going to give me positive 3. So what you're going to get is a negative fraction 2 over 3. Some of us might get like up 2 and then left 3, and that would give us positive 2 over negative 3. So your final answer, you can write the 2 as a negative and the 3 as a positive, or you can write the 2 as a positive and the 3 as a negative, or choose to write it where the negative is in the middle of the fraction. Those 3 are all appropriate ways of representing a negative fraction. So there's your answer. You've got your negative 2/3 as the slope of this line. This slope here, we have, we're going to go down to positive 1. Feel free to pause the video if you need to find the answer first, and then check your answer as you go. But I will just keep going in the video. And our slope is negative 2. And again, my man starts up here on the very left side, traveling this way, and he is going at a downward direction, so I will get a negative slope. This one's pretty steep. It's a negative 2 slope, so you'll see it's getting steeper. Here we have this slope. Take a moment to try that. Pause the video. Rising up, 3. Then going to the right, positively, 4. So we've got a nice positive slope of 3/4. The next one. Pause the video as you need to. There we go. We're going down 1, then to the right, 2. Very good. And we have our final slope as a negative 1/2. So again, you can put the negative with the 1, with the 2, or in the middle. But don't put 2 negatives, because if you have 2 negatives, that's really a positive. Here we're going to now talk about the slope formula. What we'll see in the slope formula is that if I choose 2 points, and again any 2 points, that when I simply subtract my y's, then that's my rise. If I subtract my x's, then that's my run. So I come up with my slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I'll show you some examples for using the slope formula as well. So here we have these 2 problems. The first one, we have these 2 points. Now I could go and I could draw a coordinate plane and I can graph 2, 5, and then 6, 9, and up here, and then, you know, connect them and then count and all that. But again, that's a very tedious, a lot of work, or I can simply use our formula. So there's our formula. I'm going to subtract the y's and subtract the x's. So I want to always subtract them consistently. Now I could just say that the first point is 2, 5. So that means the x is 2 for the first point, and the 5 is y for the first point. Because each coordinate has an x and a y coordinate, and the order is x, y. X first, then y. And then 6, 9 could be the second point. So that means 6 will be our x, the second one, and the 9 will be our y, but the second one. So each one of the ordered pairs has an x, y, and an x, y. We just assign them a different number as a subscript at the, like, kind of near the bottom of the x and the y. So then we're going to simply plug those numbers in. So I'm simply going to take 9 minus 5 and then 6 minus 2. I like to actually draw arrows because I want to go in the same direction. So I'm going to go 9 minus 5 and then 6 minus 2. So a simple subtraction gives me 4 over 4. So the slope of these 2 points, when I graph it, is going to create a line with a slope of 1. Positive, so I actually know that it's going to kind of look generally like that, in that direction, going upward, and it's not too steep really. 1 is not too steep. Number 2, we do the same thing. We're going to assign point 1 and 2 to each of the points. Now you could flip them if you want to. Your arrows would just go in the different direction. I would just choose this is y2 and this is y1, so I would subtract going this way, or you can subtract going the opposite direction as long as you do the same for the x's too. Okay, this negative 3 is my y1, since 7 was y1. Then my 5 is x2, and my negative 5 was y2. So I'm going to subtract going in this direction. So when I plug it into my formula, I just want to be very careful with the negatives that I have. And as you are setting up the problem for tonight's homework, make sure you show all your work, because I want to see what you're subtracting, where your negatives are, your positives are, because that's really the tricky part, is going back to what we remember about subtracting and adding integers. So I'm going to do negative 5 minus 7, and then I'm going to take 5 and minus with negative 3. So here, as I have negative and negative, I'm going to make that a positive. For negative 5 minus 7, I'm going to do my T for teams just to kind of remind me of how I'm subtracting. The 5 is negative, the 7 is negative, meaning negatives have 12 and positives have 0. So that's going to give me negative 12. Oops, kind of went over there. And 5 plus 3 was 8. That's not my final answer. I do need to make sure that I simplify, because I always simplify fractions, and my final answer will now be negative 3 over 2. That's how I use the formula. You can definitely draw it if you want to. That is one method if you forget the formula. But again, the formula is just a quick and easier way than drawing it. And sometimes when we count, we miscount. And so it can, or we draw things messy, and you know, we thought we had counted 5, but it really was 9. Okay. Okay, so in our homework, as you start with number 1, the graph that you see, and I'm not going to draw it very neatly here, you see several points, you see 3 of them, so you just pick any 2. We could just pick the one in the middle and the one on the very top. As you are counting, basically, you're going to count up, rise, and then over, run, and if you count it correctly, you will simply get 3 over 4. Okay, let's skip over to number 3. This line that you're seeing is a straight up and down line. And the straight up and down line is simply just like the snowboarding man who's falling off the cliff. Cliffs are not good if we're going to go down them with our snowboard. So really that's just an undefined slope. So you can just write undefined slope for number 3. Go ahead and look at number 4. For number 4, we have 2 points, 2, 6, and B is 8, 1. No negatives here, so it should be pretty simple when we subtract. So we're going to subtract using our formula, which M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It would be very good practice for you to actually write out the formula each time. I'm going to subtract the y's, so these are my y's. This is the first y, whoopsies, y1, and this is my second y2. The other 2 numbers are my x1, x2, if I want to label that now. So I'm going to subtract the y's. I'm going to subtract 1 minus 6, 1 minus 6. Okay, in the denominator, I'm going to subtract 8 minus 2, 8 minus 2. So that's going to give me negative 5 over 6, and I don't have to simplify anything, so I can box that answer and then move on. Very good. All right, you're going to do that several more times for a lot of questions. Let me try number 6 really before the end of this video. We have negative 10, negative 2, and then 2, negative 10. All right, we got some negatives here. The first point is x1, y1. The second point is x2, y2. So my formula says that I'm going to subtract the y's, subtract my x's to find my slope. So I'm going to simply subtract negative 10 minus negative 2. So that's negative 10 minus negative 2. Then I have 2 minus negative 10, so that's 2 minus, and then negative 10. Ooh, I've got lots of negatives and positives here. I want to make sure these are pluses, so then when I simply add them, well, I have a negative 10 and a positive 2, so if I use my T for teams to help me, I have negative 8. This is simply 12. When I simplify, I will then get negative 2/3.